Thanks for taking an interest in the Equality, Diversity, Inclusion cards, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Basically, this box contains the version 1.0 of the Equality, Diversity, Inclusion cards, and I'm just going to give you a whistle-stop tour of them to let you know more about what they contain and illustrate a few ways in which you hopefully might be able to use them. This is part of a project funded by Connected Everything, supported by the Food Systems Institute, the Trustworthy Autonomous Systems Hub and the University of Nottingham EDI, and involving myself, Peter Craigon, Deborah Fernshaw, Oliver Fisher and Emma Hadfield-Hudson in the development of these cards. So this box contains 145 cards across 12 categories separated into 4 themes, and in a second we'll just open the box and see what they contain. The one thing we're conscious of, 145 cards, which is a lot, but one of the things we say is that in what you're doing, you don't have to use them all, so hopefully this will give you some indication about ones which may be more or less relevant to what you're doing. So let's just go through them and then explain them in more detail, and I'll lay them out in front of you. So of the 12 categories, we have a theme of definitions to help people understand what's meant by equality, diversity, inclusion and some of the key terms there. There's a category of legal definitions, which are elements from the Equality Act 2010, which underpins a lot of this. The cards are intended to help people identify issues of EDI in their own work, their own scenarios. So the next theme is a scenario theme, which includes protected characteristics from the Equality Act. Other characteristics, which is to help people understand that issues of EDI go wider than just the legal definitions, so the other characteristics help with that. There's a set of example activity or contexts in your work. These started with research, so they're focused on that. And then there's a category of inclusion or exclusion, so example things which may include or exclude different people. So those 4 categories: protected characteristics, other characteristics, activity or context, inclusion or exclusion, and also industrial digital technologies form the scenario theme. Industrial digital technologies comes from the fact that the cards were started from Connected Everything, a digital manufacturing project. You can leave these out if they're not relevant to what you're doing. The EDI cards, the goal of this is to help people improve issues of EDI. So to help with that, we now have a theme which we call the What Am I Going to Do theme, to help you think of potential actions which might help you improve issues of EDI. We have the approach cards, which are a set of examples, and then importantly there's a set of measures of success cards, which are intended to help you think, what am I aiming for, what am I hoping to change, and how am I going to measure that? Actions to improve EDI don't happen in a vacuum. Can be intention. There's all sorts of different priorities going on around them, which can sort of help or hinder elements of that. So we then have, to help engage with this, a complications and practicalities theme. So there's a set of complications cards, and then there's a set of what we call uncomfortable questions cards, which are attitudes or perspectives or things which may sort of be barriers to help improve issues of EDI from people's experience within this. And by putting those on a set of cards, we help people engage with those sorts of questions. And again, within the complications and practicalities theme, there's digital manufacturing challenges, which again can be included or left out as you wish, depending on your work and context. Now that I've laid them out, you can see that each of the categories is color-coded to help you identify them. When we turn over the cards in a second, you'll see that's also labelled on the other side. And I mentioned it, but as I've laid them out here, so that they are laid out in the themes with definitions at the top, scenario the second row, what am I going to do the third, and then complications and practicalities at the bottom. One of the things from initial testing of these things, and which will be coming in version 1.1 of the cards, is that this theme will be helpfully actually written on the back of the cards to help you divide that up. Also, as you can see here, sat with a set of physical cards in front of me, but we've also found that with people's interest in the cards as well, that not everyone's going to be able to have these. That involve people sat around the same table, actually being able to handle them and things like this. So as part of the project, we have developed an online version of this to distribute the cards via the internet, just via a website. What we've seen at the moment is the least interesting bit is the back of the cards to help you identify the categories and themes. But as we'll see in a second and go into more detail, exactly activity or context here, and the cards look like this. So you have a range of ones with images, titles and a bit of written text, and the categories here, and these are the ones that help you reflect and engage with issues of EDI as what we call the anatomy of a card. Just to pick one here from other characteristics here, you'll see on each of the cards, when you get to look at them, they all look like this. This one is socioeconomic background. At the top there's an image, underneath that there's the title, in this case socioeconomic background. Then underneath that there's some written text which explains the issue and in relation to EDI there, and then to help you engage with these questions of how it relates to EDI in your context, there's a set of open questions on each of the card to help you consider how that might work in your context. And then on the bottom, there's just the label of the category it belongs to and some coloured lines which match the colour of the card on the back. So that brings us to the end of a whistle-stop tour of the EDI cards. If this has sort of whetted your appetite and interest in this, look at the details on the website. There's more details there of different ways to use them. Get familiar with the cards through the app or the PDF and seeing them there, and come up with your own ways of using them. As one of the things we emphasise of this, there's no right or wrong way of using these particularly, and we hope that you come up with your own ways of using them that's relevant to your context, because that's the how they were designed for you to flexibly use them in relation to your own work. So hopefully this video has given you some ideas of how best to do that.